Brave people live alone, not because they have to, because they choose to, because silence sharpens them, solitude shapes them, and when the world turns its back, they don't beg for company, they build themselves. Brave people live alone, not because they are unloved or unwanted, but because they have discovered something most people never will: the power of standing alone. The world often confuses solitude with sadness, independence with arrogance, and self-trust with pride. But those who have walked through the fire of loneliness know that being alone doesn't mean being weak. It means being awake. It means you've stopped waiting for someone else to rescue you, and you've decided to rescue yourself. You stop chasing people who don't see your worth, and you start becoming the kind of person who no longer needs to be seen to feel worthy. That's where courage begins, not in crowds, but in the quiet company of your own heart. It takes incredible bravery to walk away from what's familiar, the comfort of noise, the validation of others, the illusion of belonging. It's addictive. But when you step into solitude, you strip away everything that isn't real. Suddenly, there's no one left to impress, no expectations to meet, no masks to wear. It's just you, raw, unfiltered, honest. And that's terrifying, isn't it? Because in that silence, you face yourself. You see your fears, your flaws, your wounds. You see the truth of who you are when the world isn't watching. Most people run from that mirror, but the brave, they stay. They stare back. They don't flinch. They use that reflection as a map, guiding them toward who they were always meant to become. Standing alone means rejecting the illusion of safety that comes from fitting in. It means no longer following the crowd just to feel accepted. The world tells you that strength is about power, status, and control. But the truth is, strength is being able to stand in your truth, even when no one claps for you. It's choosing what's right over what's easy, choosing your peace over your popularity. It's saying, I'd rather walk alone in authenticity than be surrounded by people who don't know my soul. That kind of courage breaks you open before it builds you up. It asks you to let go of everything shallow so that you can reach something deeper, something unshakable. When you learn to be alone, you start hearing your own voice clearly, unapologetically. You begin to realize how often you've silenced yourself just to keep the peace. How many times you've agreed when you wanted to say no. How many dreams you've buried just to make others comfortable. But in solitude, those dreams start whispering again. They call your name. They remind you of what you're capable of. The brave listen. They take those whispers and turn them into action. They start writing, creating, building, moving. They stop existing for approval and start living for purpose. That's what makes them powerful. Not their connections, not their fame, but their unbreakable connection to their own truth. Yes, the world might not understand you. When you choose solitude, they'll say you've changed. They'll call you distant, difficult, detached. But remember, growth always looks like distance to those who refuse to move. The brave don't live to be understood. They live to be fulfilled. They know that solitude isn't about rejecting people. It's about protecting energy. It's about choosing alignment over attachment. When you stand alone, you stop shrinking to fit in places you've outgrown. You stop begging for space and start creating your own. That's when life begins to shift, because you're no longer living small. You're living true. And eventually, that strength radiates. It changes how you walk into a room, how you speak, how you love, how you lead. Because once you've learned to stand alone, you don't fear being left behind. You don't need to chase anyone or prove anything. You are whole, steady, grounded. You realize that your solitude was never punishment. It was preparation. It was sculpting you into someone who doesn't just survive, but thrives, creates, and inspires. The brave live alone not because they have no one, but because they have found themselves. So if you ever find yourself standing alone, don't see it as a curse. See it as your calling. That silence is not your emptiness, it's your awakening. It's the moment your spirit stops waiting for permission and starts building its own power. Remember this: being alone is not the end of your story. It's the moment you become your own beginning. Every legend was once misunderstood. Every strong soul you've ever admired has spent nights in silence, wondering if their path was worth it. Because the truth is, growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadows, when no one is watching. Isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the universe's way of pulling you away from distractions, from noise, from people who can't see your vision yet. When life isolates you, it's not abandoning you. It's refining you. It's giving you the space to hear your own heartbeat, your own thoughts, your own calling. And that silence you fear so much, that's where transformation begins. When you're alone, there's no applause to feed you, no opinions to drown in. It's just you and your truth. That's where clarity is born. You start to see what matters and what doesn't. You begin to separate what's real from what's noise. You realize how much of your energy was spent trying to belong, trying to please, trying to be understood. But when you sit in solitude, you start to understand yourself. You realize that what you thought was loneliness was actually alignment. The more you strip away the unnecessary, the more you find yourself standing in your power, quiet, steady, unshaken. Isolation is the gym of the mind and soul. It's where resilience is built, repetition after repetition. Every time you face the silence and stay, you grow stronger. You learn to self-soothe, to self-motivate, to self-trust. The things that once scared you become familiar. The silence that once hurt becomes healing. You start to understand that solitude isn't the absence of connection. It's the presence of self. It's the sacred space where your potential starts to breathe. That's why the brave don't run from isolation. They lean into it. They treat it like training, knowing that every moment alone is sharpening them for what's next. The world teaches us to fear being alone, to fill every quiet moment with noise, every gap with people. But what if the space between relationships, between successes, between moments, that space is where your real power is formed? That's where perspective grows. That's where creativity thrives. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history were born in solitude. Because when the world's chaos fades, inspiration speaks. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle, a whisper, a nudge, a feeling that says, keep going. The brave listen. They don't distract themselves from discomfort. They dive into it until it turns into direction. There's a unique kind of focus that only comes when you're alone. When no one is watching, there's no pressure to perform. You stop being what others expect and start being what you are. You find discipline in the quiet. You build habits not for applause, but for progress. You realize that while others are busy proving themselves, you're busy improving yourself. That's the power of isolation. It turns ordinary people into masters of their craft, thinkers into visionaries, dreamers into doers. It demands patience, but it rewards you with peace. Because when you've learned to thrive alone, no environment, no setback, no person can break your focus again. And one day, when you step out of that solitude, people will wonder how you became so composed, so certain, so strong. They won't see the nights you questioned everything, the mornings you pushed through doubt, the hours you sat with your own thoughts. They'll only see the results, the power, the presence, the unshakable confidence. But you'll know the truth. You'll know that every second spent alone was worth it. Because that's where you became who you are. That's where your strength was born. So don't fear isolation. Embrace it. It's not your exile, it's your evolution. It's the sacred ground where you meet the highest version of yourself. The world may forget you while you're gone. But when you return, you'll move differently. You'll speak with purpose, act with precision, and lead with power. Because once you faced the silence and conquered it, you carry something unbreakable inside you. And that is what the brave are made of as. Pain is not the enemy, it's the messenger. It comes uninvited, unapologetic, ruthless in its timing, yet precise in its purpose. It strips away comfort and illusion until only truth remains. Brave people don't curse the pain. They confront it. They don't numb it, hide from it, or drown it out with distractions. They sit with it. They ask it questions. Why are you here? What are you trying to show me? And in that dialogue with their suffering, they discover wisdom. They realize that every heartbreak, every betrayal, every loss was never meant to destroy them. It was designed to awaken them. Pain doesn't come to break you. It comes to build you, one scar at a time. When pain first hits, it feels unbearable. The mind panics. The heart rebels. Everything inside you wants to escape, to run, to forget. But that's the moment when transformation starts. Right there, in the trembling, in the tears, in the silence after the storm. Because when the noise stops, truth speaks. You begin to see how much strength you've been carrying all along, hidden beneath layers of fear and doubt. You start realizing that your worst moments weren't your endings, they were your beginnings. Pain doesn't just test your endurance, it reveals your depth. It forces you to choose stay broken or rebuild stronger. The brave always choose the second. Pain is life's greatest sculptor. It chisels away your ego, your pride, your illusions about control. You start understanding that things don't fall apart to punish you. They fall apart to realign you. Every time you lose something or someone, the universe is making space for what's meant to grow. The brave understand this rhythm. They stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" They turn their wounds into wisdom, their setbacks into strategy. They don't just survive pain. They study it, absorb it, and transform it into art, purpose, or power. That's why they move differently, because they've walked through fire and refused to let it burn their spirit. You see, pain has a strange gift. It forces you to meet the parts of yourself you've ignored. When everything is easy, we stay on the surface. But when life hurts, we dive deeper. We begin to understand compassion, empathy, patience. Pain humbles us. It makes us see others differently, love differently, live differently. It teaches you that strength isn't about never falling apart. It's about how gracefully you rebuild when you do. The brave aren't fearless. They're familiar with fear. They've danced with it, wept with it, wrestled it into understanding. And that's what gives their courage such depth. It's earned, not imagined. The pain you carry is not your weakness. It's your wisdom in disguise. It's proof that you've lived, that you've cared, that you've dared. Every scar is a story of survival. Every wound is a chapter of resilience. When you stop resisting your pain and start respecting it, everything changes. You realize that your scars aren't ugly. They're evidence that healing is possible. They become reminders of battles won, lessons learned, and strength gained. The brave wear their pain like armor, not as a shield to hide behind, but as a testament to their journey. They know that the same fire that once burned them now lights their path forward. And eventually, there comes a day when you look back and understand. The heartbreak made you softer. The loss made you wiser. The struggle made you unshakable. You start to thank the pain, not because it was easy, but because it made you real. It stripped away the false layers and revealed your essence. You realize that pain was never there to punish you. It was there to prepare you, to make sure that when your moment comes, you are ready for it, grounded in truth, anchored in purpose, and unstoppable in spirit. So, don't run from your pain. Rise through it. Let it teach you, reshape you, and refine you. The brave don't just endure suffering. They alchemize it. Because once you've turned pain into purpose, no wound can define you, no loss can silence you, and no storm can ever shake the fire you've built within. Pain doesn't make you broken. It makes you unbreakable. There comes a moment in every brave person's life when they realize that peace is far more valuable than tension. It's the day they stop chasing people, stop fighting for spaces that don't fit, and stop begging for love that doesn't feel like home. That's the moment self-respect is born. Not as a loud declaration, but as a quiet revolution. You begin to recognize that you can be kind without being used, that you can care deeply without letting people cross your boundaries. You start to see that your energy is sacred and not everyone deserves access to it. The brave understand this instinctively. Peace is not found in being liked. It's found in being aligned. Self-respect is not arrogance. It's awareness. It's knowing who you are, what you deserve, and refusing to settle for anything less. The brave don't cling to what disrespects them. They don't explain their worth to those who refuse to see it. They walk away, not because they are heartless, but because they've learned that protecting their soul is more important than pleasing anyone. They no longer chase validation because they've found something far more powerful: self-approval. And that kind of confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from boundaries. From choosing silence instead of arguments. From choosing solitude over chaos. From choosing themselves even when it's hard. When you begin to respect yourself, the entire world shifts. You stop accepting half love, half effort, half truth. You start expecting honesty, effort, and consistency. Because that's what you give. Self-respect doesn't make you difficult. It makes you decisive. It teaches you to stop negotiating your value with people who can't afford your vision. The brave know that sometimes you have to disappoint others to stay true to yourself. You might lose a few people when you raise your standards, but you'll find yourself. And that trade, though painful, is priceless. Because nothing feels better than looking in the mirror and knowing you never betrayed your own heart to keep someone else. True self-respect changes how you move through the world. You no longer chase attention, you command presence. You no longer need to be the loudest in the room, because your energy speaks before you do. You stop over-explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop begging to be chosen and start realizing you already are. You choose yourself every single day. That's what scares people who live off approval. They can't understand the quiet power of someone who doesn't need it. The brave don't measure their worth by who stays or who applauds. They measure it by their own integrity, their own peace, their own sense of purpose. But self-respect doesn't just protect you. It transforms you. It changes what you tolerate, what you allow, what you attract. When you hold yourself with value, life starts mirroring it back to you. You attract people who respect boundaries, not break them. You find relationships built on truth, not dependency. You find peace in solitude instead of fear. You realize that the love you've been searching for was never about someone else completing you. It was about you recognizing your own wholeness. The brave understand that solitude is not loneliness when you love the person you are alone with. That's the kind of love that cannot be taken, only deepened. And one day, when the noise fades and the dust settles, you'll look around and realize that you've built a life rooted in respect. A life where your heart feels safe, your mind feels free, and your spirit feels whole. You'll stop needing to prove your worth because your existence itself will be proof of it. You'll see how every time you said no, every time you walked away, every time you put yourself first, you are not being selfish, you are being sovereign. That's what bravery looks like, not loud rebellion, but quiet dignity. So choose peace over approval. Choose standards over desperation. Choose yourself, not once, not sometimes, but every single day. Because when you respect yourself, you teach the world how to treat you. The brave don't wait to be valued. They become the value. And once you've mastered the art of self-respect, you'll never beg for love, attention, or acceptance again. You'll simply attract what already matches your worth. In a world obsessed with blending in, The brave choose to stand apart. It's easier to follow the crowd, to be accepted, to go unnoticed in the comfort of conformity. But bravery isn't about being liked. It's about being real. It's about saying, "This is who I am," even when that truth makes others uncomfortable. The brave don't conform to fit a mold. They shatter it. They understand that fitting in often means giving up pieces of yourself just to belong, so they refuse. They choose authenticity over approval, truth over popularity. Standing alone in your truth is not arrogance. It's liberation. And that kind of freedom always costs something. It takes courage to be different in a world that rewards sameness. People will question your choices, your dreams, your silence, your boldness. They'll label you, misunderstand you, and sometimes even mock you. But the brave don't bend to judgment. They let it bounce off. They know that other people's opinions are not their responsibility. What others call rebellion, the brave call integrity. What others see as stubbornness, they see as strength. They understand that greatness has always required a touch of defiance. Every revolutionary, every innovator, every visionary began as someone who dared to say, "I see things differently." And that difference, that refusal to shrink, is where all progress begins. The world is loud, constantly shouting who you should be, what you should believe, how you should live. But the brave learn to silence that noise and listen inward. Their compass doesn't point toward trends or expectations. It points toward truth. They make choices not to impress, but to express. They stand firm in their values, even when the ground beneath them shakes. That kind of strength isn't built overnight. It's forged in moments of solitude, in hours of doubt, in the decision to stay true, even when no one claps. To be brave is to live with a kind of quiet rebellion, one that says, "I would rather walk alone in truth than march with a crowd in lies." But rebellion doesn't mean chaos. It means clarity. The brave don't rebel for the sake of attention. They do it to protect their authenticity. They are not reckless. They are intentional. They know exactly what they stand for and refuse to compromise it. They understand that true rebellion is not about fighting against everything. It's about standing for something. It's about being rooted in your own values so deeply that no storm, no critic, no failure can uproot you. While the world is busy chasing trends, the brave are busy chasing purpose. And purpose is always louder than popularity, even in silence. Standing alone isn't easy, but it's necessary. It teaches you to depend on your inner strength, not external support. It shows you who your real allies are. The ones who stand with you not because it's easy, but because it's right. The brave don't crave followers. They inspire leaders. They don't beg for acceptance. They earn respect. Every step they take outside the line is a declaration that says, "I choose to live on my own terms." And yes, it's lonely sometimes. But the brave understand that solitude is the birthplace of greatness. It's where you hear the whispers of your destiny. It's where clarity is born, purpose is strengthened, and vision becomes unstoppable. And one day, those who laughed at your difference will ask how you did it. Those who doubted your path will seek your guidance. Those who ignored your silence will be moved by your impact. Because the world always catches up to authenticity. It just takes time. The brave never needed validation. They needed patience. They didn't fight to prove themselves to others. They fought to stay true to themselves. And when they finally rise, it's not as rebels, but as leaders. Unchained, unshaken, unforgettable. So don't fear standing alone. Fear blending into a world that has forgotten its truth. Be the one who dares to question, to disrupt, to evolve. Let your silence speak louder than conformity. Let your difference be your legacy. Because the brave don't fit in. They redefine what it means to